Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I'm glad you could be with us today alongside. I've got Jan with me. Hey,
Hey,
Jan.
Steve. Hey, everybody.
So, Jan and I are going to play a little trivia game. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask her some questions, and all of you can also participate. And as we go along, you know, take a guess to see if your answer was correct or how close you were. And what it is I'm going to be asking Jan questions about what prices of things were in the year 1960. So we're going back 65 years on prices.
Oh, my word.
Now, in 1960, the first question, how much was a flight from LA to New York City?
Mm. Well, that's kind of a hard one considering I was about a year and a half old in 1960. I
Yeah.
I am clueless, but my guess would be what about I don't know, 150 or something?
Mm, not too bad. You're a little off. Not you were off by $51. The
Mm.
price was $99
Oh, that's a steal of a deal.
compared to today. Yeah, it
Yeah.
sure is. Okay, here's a question that I like. The second question is what was a brand new the cost of a new 1960 Chevy Impala?
Oh, I bet you're thoroughly versed with this subject because I know you love cars from that era. But as much as I like to look at pictures of cars in that era, and when I grew up, my family took a bunch of pictures of cars like that when we were growing up. But price wise, well, got me a little stumped. What, 3K?
Actually, that's not a even that answer is not all that you're not off that much either. You're off by 400. No, the price was $2,600 for a 60 Chevy
Wow.
Impala. Yeah.
That's a beautiful car.
Yes, it is. It is. I would own one in a heartbeat. Now, the next question, what did a new sofa cost?
OMG. Completely clueless. Like completely you mean like a brand new sofa, right?
Yeah,
Completely and just a regular size sofa or a love seat or a
it
sofa
doesn't
sofa?
it doesn't specify. It's just I would think just a sofa. I don't think it'd be a love seat.
All right, I'm going to be a little scrawny on the price on this one since I've tended to overdo it on the others. I'm going to guess about 125.
Your your figures are even closer than the others. No, you're not too far off. It's $100.
Ooh, that's a deal, all right. Wow, for a regular sofa, not bad.
Yeah, but people have to remember too that even though you operated on less money back then, the money also had a lot more value to it then too.
That's true. That's the truth.
Yeah. Um, this one I actually already knew the answer to because
Mhm.
I consider myself an old soul and I like, things of that time. What was the price of a gallon of gas back then?
Yikes and ouch. Daddy, can you tell me? Come back and let me know.
I could tell
That
you,
would be
yeah.
probably like a daddy kind of a question back in the day.
Yeah.
I would guess it would much definitely be less than a dollar. That's for sure. About what, 60, 70 cents?
Oh, no, 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 no. Your figures are almost pretty much double. No, no. The price of a gallon of gas was 31 cents. But keep in mind, back then,
Oh, oh, Jesus.
I remember my dad, this is going back to the 1950s, which is not far from 1960. There were times he would pay a quarter, 27, 23, 20.
Mm.
Well, remember, gas always fluctuates. So today it could have been 31.
Yeah.
Tomorrow it could be 28. It could be 32. So
Wow.
gas always, you know. So the next question, a tube of toothpaste, what did it cost?
like regular toothpaste, nothing special? Oh, wait a minute. That was back in the old days. There weren't that many specialized toothpaste. Toothpaste,
No.
toothpaste. I'm gonna get it would again, it has to be less than $1. I'm leaning towards more like 45 cents, 50.
Okay, your second figure is pretty close. And that's right. Back in the 1960, no, you just had basic Colgate. You had just basic toothpaste. You didn't really have,
Yeah.
all of the fancy schmancy stuff like you do now. The total and the this and that and or
Wow.
whitening and all that. I don't think you had it. No, a tube of toothpaste back then was 57 cents.
Oh my. Not bad. Not bad.
No. Um, the next question would be, what did a bar of Ivory soap cost in 1960?
I remember this much. I could be wrong, but if I'm recollecting correctly, I don't think there were that many variations on that kind of a soap, like no specific. So I'm thinking it just was probably basic, just a guesstimate. I remember how it smells. I'll never forget that. Uh, 30 cents?
Mm, no, believe it or not, a bar of Ivory soap in 1960 was a dime, 10 cents.
10 cents, my word.
Yeah.
Wow. Amazing.
hmm This is a good one, but even though you had this particular TV, which was the going thing, but you did have color as well if you were pretty rich and had money, then you could
Yeah.
afford it. But in this case, what did a black and white console TV cost?
Let's see. Black and white TV console. That meant like it looked like a piece of furniture. Now I do
Yes,
remember they were pretty. They really were a pretty object. And some of them actually had so many bells and whistles. Some had a stereo built in on the top. Some had like a bar feature. I'm talking about the bells and whistles one. So I'm presuming you're asking me about just a straightforward one
pretty
console.
much. Yeah, yeah, just a console,
Ah,
black and
well,
white. Yeah,
yeah, probably about 200.
very close. No, it was 220.
Wow, he's only 20 off. Not bad. Oh,
No, nope,
well, okay,
nope, no, you weren't. Um, Now it does not give me a specific, but what did a hamburger cost in 1960?
Oh my word. Well, I saw an old episode of Father Knows Best, and they were in a diner. The family was in a diner. Now, I don't know. I don't know if it still holds true, but that was from that about that era in time, and they probably wanted to reflect the time. So I thought it said, like, I used to love to look at the menu pictures in the background. I thought it said something
Mhm.
like either 15 or 20 cents in the background.
Okay, you actually nailed it with your first answer. It's
You're
15
kidding.
cents. Yep,
You're
15
kidding.
cents. You
Oh,
got it.
gee.
But you,
Nice.
but you know what? It depend. I don't know if this. It doesn't really say if it's at. This would be at a going out to eat. I'm sure. But you know what? Your second answer might not be wrong either because prices are different from one place to another. So
Yes. And on the same episode, I think I saw that pie, like apple pie in the background. I love to read those menus in the background, indicating the time. I think the pie one was like 25 cents. Imagine the hamburger was cheaper than the pie.
wow,
Wow, too funny.
wow, 25 cents for a slice of. Well, that's not too
Must
bad,
have
I
been a
guess.
pretty big piece for back then.
Oh, this is a good one. I actually saw a little bit of a documentary about this a little while back. Um, you might be able to relate to this one possibly. In 1960, now keep in mind this had only been out 1 year because I know it come out in '59.
Okay.
How much did a Barbie doll cost in 1960?
Well, I understand that Barbie and I were born in the same year, okay? But she still looks a heck of a lot younger than myself. So I got older, but she remained the same. Okay, yes, I had Barbies growing up. No, I didn't make the
Uh-huh.
purchase, but I guess the bank of mom and dad, what did they pay? Maybe about 3, 4, or 5. I'll say, wait a minute. I'd say definitely less than 5, but I'm not sure of the price.
Okay, your very first number figure was correct. $3.
What? Are you serious? Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
that's what I have.
Aw, good old Barbie.
Well, do keep in mind, Barbie is not going to change. She's a toy. I mean, she can't. She doesn't age.
Well, why don't they make 66-year-old Barbie? No, I'm just kidding. No kid would want that.
You know,
That's amazing, though, about the price. Thank you, Steve.
oh, you're welcome, but I'm going to tell you something. I'm having a little bit of a visual about Barbie in her 60s, how she would look.
You're really middle-age spread, you know.
Should I?
Sweetheart.
Well, should I be thinking that? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, I'm looking at it from a facial standpoint,
That'd be
so
really funny if the computer imaging of what Barbie would probably be looking at, like look alike right now. Would we go out and buy one? I would just for the fun of it.
you know what? Barbie come out in 59, so she would
Yeah,
be turning 66 this year, so you should
yeah,
reflect the time.
yep,
Um,
absolutely.
yep. Oh, this one's not bad. This is a good one. In 1960, what and these are collector's items today, pretty much any of the older ones. In 1960, what did a Volkswagen Beetle cost?
Ooh, I know this, that back in the 70s, for some reason, there was a resurgence of that car. People were buying them like crazy, like crazy. They
Yeah,
were like a lighter teal bluish color. I mean, you might remember that. I don't know. But the one way back from the Wayback Machine, well, you mentioned the Impala earlier, and that was what, close to 2K, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to
2600.
subtract, yeah. I'm going to use a little bit of math, my favorite subject, not. I'm going to use a little bit of math, but math has reasoning and logic. It stands to reason to think that it would be about half the price. So my guesstimation is that it would be about $1,000.
Um, no, but I mean, you gave it a very good try, though. But it's the price of a new Beetle back then was $1,655.
Oh, and how much was the Impala earlier? Do you remember that one offhand?
2600, 2600.
So it was $1,000 less. So okay, I was in the right neighborhood with reasoning. Very good though. Good, good. No, those cars were so cute, but those little Beetles. But how many could you really fit in that thing? Although I
That's true.
remember two people at
Now,
least.
I will tell you this, if I was shopping for a car in 1960, I do think the Beatles are nice and they're cute and they're good on gas. And even in the 1970s, they sold like crazy because gas,
Yeah.
right around 73, 74, gas kind of went higher. So people are trying to find ways to save on fuel. But me personally, in 1960, if I was buying a car, I'd rather have the Impala. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, no,
That
no. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Go for the Impala. Thank you for the reminder. I want to share a funny story. You brought up a really good price, the energy crisis of the 70s. I didn't make the connection. One of my best friends in high school, which we still keep in touch to this day, we used to stand on, well, my high school was not far from Lexington Avenue in the Upper East. Make a long story short, we would count all of those not Volvo, excuse me, my mind is also, but those Volkswagen cars, we would count them just for fun every day. How many would pass by? I can't tell you how many we would see per hour. People were buying them up
Yeah,
like crazy. You made a good
yeah,
association with the energy crisis from back in the day. Wow.
right. Because I will tell you this, I myself was born the year of the OPEC, the first oil gas crunch.
Yes.
And I do know this, that a lot of your larger vehicles, like your Oldsmobile 98, your Buick Electra, your Cadillacs, your Lincolns, your Mercury Marquis,
Yeah.
all of your bigger vehicles did not sell well because they burned a lot of gas.
They were guzzlers. Yeah. Sure.
Right. right. So that kind of put a damper, on the luxury cars.
Isn't
But
it interesting how the economy plays a role, even of course with the stuff that you buy, right down to the type of car that you get? Wow, that was really amazing.
Mhm. Oh, now the next question is a good one. I sure wish these prices were around today, but I'm paying about 9 times this amount when I go and get one. What was a men's haircut in 1960? The cost.
Well, I don't remember my dad talking about his haircuts, although he did go to the barber shop a lot. I do remember my dad giving my older brother, a couple of bucks every time he had to go for a haircut. And
Hmm.
was usually to the tune of about, he'd probably give about $2 and maybe another 50 cents towards a tip or something like that.
Chip.
I would
Mhm.
say about $2.50.
Okay, you're not way off, but this is without a tip. I'm sure the figure that I have here. Just a haircut alone was $1.50. So you weren't far off.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Now this is good. They don't do this anymore. Sometimes I wish they did. Maybe they do. I guess it just depends. But if they do, it's very, very, very few and far between. But how much? It doesn't say doctor's call. That's what I was referring to. But a doctor's visit. What did it cost?
Well, okay. I don't remember the cost of going to the doctors per visit, but I was one of those kids that had like if you got sick and they still were making house calls. And I remember my mom sharing the story that her house calls with the local pediatrician back then were about $5 or $6. And she'd also want to tip the doctor, but the doctor never wanted to take a tip. I remember those visits. There were a couple of times I do remember it because one time I actually accidentally kicked my doctor in his chin when he was
Oh,
trying to check my heart. And I didn't like him fiddling around with that contraption. I
oh,
was a little kid. I'm like, I don't like this. I'm like, boom. My mother goes, no, no. But I do remember my mom saying about $5 to $7.
okay. I will go ahead and say that you actually nailed that answer because you did give the answer. It is $5.
No kidding. No kidding. I remember
Yeah.
my mother distinctly telling me, I'll tell you why, because we had a conversation. I said, Mom, remember when Dr. So and so used to come over and do house calls, blah, blah, because he lived in the area and he took care of all the kids in the area, house calls and stuff like that. Of course, he had his own main office that wasn't far away either. But he would do those like overnight calls or whatever. And she said, yeah, and I couldn't believe it. She used to say, Dr. So and so would charge so cheaply for it, like $5 for the house call. Then she would want to give him $2 tip at that time. But he always said, oh, no, no, no. He wouldn't accept the tip. And then again, my mom and dad had, five of us. So he made quite a few bucks off of us back in the day. But I nailed the
Mm.
price. Wow.
Yep.
Amazing.
Now, the next question, revert back to your father knows best, um, episode you saw.
Yeah.
What was your typical diner meal cost back then?
Well, I could look back, like I would know, like in my day, like I was more like coherent, I was a kid, more observing. I was like
Yeah.
literally a baby in the Father Knows Best era. But I remember like if we went out to like eat at like a local diner or coffee shop or whatever it was, I remember probably the bill like per person, like I'm just adding it up in my head, like we used to get something. If all of us got something, it probably cost about $5 or $6. So if there were, let's say, six of us at that time, because my little brother didn't come around till 1970, but if it was
Yeah.
about, let's say, six people, I'm going to break it down to about $1 per person.
You're not way off. It was 60 cents.
Wow. Wow. Amazing. Amazing. Wow. Wow.
I
You could
tell you
really
what,
go out and dine.
yeah. I tell you what, I wish I could go out to eat for 60 cents these days, but it's not going to happen. But
I'm with
um
you.
oh, now this question, the next one should be right up your alley because you and I actually spoke about this the other day, as a matter of fact. In 1960, what did it cost to go to the movie?
Well, my first movie ever was The Sound of Music, and that I remember distinctly. And I also remember distinctly it was definitely not more than $2. I would say in about the $1.25 range, maybe.
The $1.25 range is correct. Take away a quarter and you have it. It's $1.
Oh my word. Oh,
So
gee.
you were pretty very close on that one too.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Oh, how
Yeah.
do you like that? Man, what
Um,
a piece of history here that you're giving us. What reminders?
yeah. Now the next question is an item in a grocery store that all of us are dealing with high prices on. In
Hmm.
1960, what was the price for a dozen of eggs?
Oh, I'm sure it's nothing like what we're going through or been through recently, that's for sure.
No, it's not. No,
Well,
no.
first of all, I want to mention to you, I remember when I was a little girl that they also sold it optionally that you could break the dozen in half if you don't want to buy the whole thing. You were allowed to break the package in half. They had it on purpose, designed like that, perforated for those that didn't want a whole package. Imagine that back in the old days. I'm going to venture to guess what, 75 cents?
Not that I have anything, not that I'm trying to, use this in any bad way, but if you had given me the dyslexic answer versus what you did, you would have been dead on.
What,
57.
57 cents? You're kidding.
Yeah,
Wow.
for a dozen eggs in 1960. Um, well, I remember. Well, keep in mind. Well, I'm 50, but remember, I can remember back when a dozen eggs was less than $1.
I could literally never remember that here in New York City. Honestly, I could never. But like when I was older, I mean, I'm sure my mother, of course, God rest her, she remembers those prices. But I personally don't. I always remember it from about $1 up, at least $1.29 up. I never remember it less than a buck. Never.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm not saying it didn't exist. It's just like what I don't remember. That's all.
Well, back in 2000, I'd say I would even say sometime in the early 2000s here, going to like a Walmart, you could pick up a dozen eggs for about 95, 96 cents. But that was then, not now,
Wow. Amazing.
because
Amazing.
that was 21, 22, 23 years ago. So, I mean, a lot's changed, but yeah. Um, we're almost done. Next to the last, actually. What did a paperback book cost in 1960?
Well, we used to have this drugstore on the corner, and we used to call it a drugstore. And with it was a counter where people would sit down, get a cup of coffee, literally get a sandwich or a donut, wait for their prescription. You used to have phone booths in it, a toy rack, and a paperback rack for books. It had everything, plus the candy, of course. And make a long story short, I would say about 50 cents.
Good answer. Add another dime, 60 cents.
Wow. Guess what, Steve? Thank you for that. Guess what? On that same store that I went into detail about when I was a little girl, I my first book about dieting, this is funny. Some people might remember it. It was by a company called Pocket Books. These are miniature books. And I purchased on my own for 25 cents called a book called Count Your Calories. How cute was I, 7 years young?
Hmm. Well, yeah, I could see
And
that.
they used to call them Dell Pocket Book or Purse Book, something like that. It was the cutest little thing, and it was a book. And you'd put it in, and it was from that same place that sold 60 cents. Not bad for a paperback. Wow.
No, not back then. And the last question, in 1960, what did a dining room table with chairs set cost?
And I'm going to presume by that question, we're talking 4 chairs is the guess. All
Yep.
right. Oh, that's tricky. But the way things are going in these answers, I would have to say about $100.
Not too bad. No, it's a little bit higher. It's 150.
150? Great. Great.
Yeah. Yeah, 100 is not a bad answer for if you're not really, if you're not too certain. But now if you went back to say the 50s, like 1955 or 6 maybe perhaps, yeah, then $100 might have been, but still that 100 from 150 is not too bad. No, not at all.
You know it's so fun, Steve, that a person to this day in 2025 could go to a thrift store and probably find those prices that we just mentioned. Of course, it's not new, but it's new to you, to the person that buys it, even though it's secondhand. So, wow, amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
this was fun, Steve. Oh my word.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, even for me. Um, so this gives everybody an idea, go back and if you kept a running tab of, all the answers or what you wrote down, go back and, see how you did, you know, and because when I conjured these up, because I didn't know the prices either back then. Remember, this is 14 years before I was born. So,
Yeah,
and
certainly
and this
not.
is and this is like a couple years after you, but still, um, I think I would give myself the score that I would give myself on a grade. I would easily give myself an A minus probably because I
Wow, that's
on a
good.
couple, yeah, on a couple I came relatively close on the answers, but you know what? That's pretty good. So like I said, check over your answers, see how you did. This was fun. Who knows? We we could probably conjure up another one. Who knows from I don't know. We could
You
do another
know,
one.
I want to thank you also. You brought back a lot of childhood memories of things. Like one thing led to another thought, like about paperback and about that store and about the little 25-cent Dell purse book, as they call them. And my first book that I purchased, Count Your Calories. How many 7-year-olds go out and buy that book?
They
Probably
don't.
none.
No,
Probably none. But I used to love to read when I was a child. I loved, loved, loved. I would read anything that had print on it, backs of anything, matchbook covers, cereal boxes. I just love to read.
to
I
read.
wish
Yeah,
that for all students. I wish that for all youngsters. Reading is so very important because without good reading skills, it's really difficult to get through a lot of other stuff. But
it
Steve, this
is.
was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for having me here.
You're welcome. And thank you, whoever, decided to watch. I'm glad that you could be here. And if you like what you see, please smash down the thumbs up, and also if you like my content, please feel free to subscribe. As you can see down below on my banner, that's where I'm trying to get to, and I'm working on it. Although I wish this teeter-totter up and down, even though that's a part of YouTube. Um, you know, because right now I'm just trying to advance, but I keep teeter-tottering up, down, up, down, up, down. But um, my goal is to hit 1,000, hopefully with the blessing from the Lord, and having faith, I'll get there. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah. Well, anyway, everybody, hope everybody has a great whatever time of day it is, and I or we will see you back here next time. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye bye.